everybody, and welcome to the first official episode of Shona Speaks. And this is a podcast that I've been meaning to sit down and record for a long time now. I feel like podcasting is something I would really enjoy if I just put my soul and some effort into it, but I just feel like I've just come up with the first episode, which is fear of failure, because I had no intention of recording this today, but just by kind of talking myself out of doing this for so long, I've realized that I have a fear of failure. I have a fear of things not working out. I have a fear of trying something and it not going well and then punishing myself and reaffirming my belief that I suck. And I think a lot of people have that, even if you might not think you do. I think it's easy to not go for things. I think it's easy to say, oh, there's no point in even trying because it's not going to work out, or, you know, it's better to kind of, some people would think it's better to not try and not fail than to try and fail, if that makes sense. And I was having a conversation with a friend of mine earlier today, and she's doing something amazing. She is going for medical school. She is somebody who's so passionate about science and medicine and is so excited to learn. And even though applying for medical school is a daunting thing, like, it's so hard and it requires so much discipline and effort and study and just hours and hours and hours of time, and she's going for it. And that just kind of made me think today. I just thought a lot about that. I thought about how brave that was, how I admire her for going for that, because I think it's really, really easy to kind of just sit back and not do anything about your goals, because it's easier to not do anything. It just is. Like, it's fucking scary to go for them. It's scary to put yourself in the position to fail, because I think we're all terrified of reaffirming our negative beliefs about ourselves. And that's kind of how I am about this podcast. I kind of have this fear of finally doing it and it just not working out, you know? But I realize that if you're passionate about something, you kind of owe it to yourself, you know? You have to just do it and give it a try, because if not, you'll always regret not going for it, or, you know, not applying for that job you want, or studying the subject you really want to study, or asking that person out that you really like, you know, but you're terrified of the rejection. And I think something that I've learned a lot over the last year, like the last year for me has been so difficult, is that the more you experience rejection, the less it hurts, because you get numb to the rejection. And there's actually a really, really good TED Talk that I will try and link somewhere for you guys, that is about this dude who made it his mission to be rejected several times over the course of a number of days. I think it was like 100 days of rejection, or I can't remember exactly what it was, as I am currently just free flowing here. There's no script for this podcast. He failed so much that failure meant nothing to him. He became immune to it, you know? And I think that's really important, because failure doesn't mean it's the end of the road, you know? A setback is really just a setup for a comeback. So I think it's important to keep that in mind. And I admire anybody out there who goes for something that they want, no matter how terrifying it is, or, you know, the fear of it not working out, or the fear of failure. I think it's amazing to say, I actually gave that a shot, or I'm not going to give up just because other people think I can't do said thing. I think that's really admirable. And just thinking about my friends studying and putting in this effort, I think it's amazing. I really, really do, because I just like when people say F you to everyone around them, everyone who's doubting them, everyone who's not supporting them enough, or not lifting them up enough. I think it's so brave to go for a dream against all the odds and the adversity and the lack of support. You know, you kind of have to believe in yourself. And that's really something that I'm learning, is the the whole self-belief thing. I find that very difficult, and I'm kind of hoping that by doing these podcasts that I can kind of talk about these things, talk about insecurities, talk about the world at large, what's going on in the world, what's going on in many different aspects of life. I mean, I want this podcast to be something that means something to me and hopefully to the people listening. And yeah, I'm finally going to quit my fear of failing and just go for something. Just do it for the sheer passion, and if a few people listen and enjoy it, that's awesome. That's great. If people can take a few things away from this, it would be well worth my while doing it, because that's what I want to do. I want to put something good out into the world. I want to have conversations. I want to tell stories, and I want to get people thinking. So I hope that you guys will continue with me on this journey with Shona Speaks. I'm hoping to have possibly some guests in the near future, some cool guests of mine, friends of mine, who would make cool guests that I think you guys would really like to hear from, and they've got really interesting stories, and I've already got a few topics kind of mulling around in my brain that I would love to talk about. But really, this is just a podcast about life. I want to talk to other people about their lives and lessons and struggles, and I'm going to have conversations about what's going on in the world. So there'll be a bit of social commentary, there'll be a bit of self-help. Really, I want this to be me speaking about things that I'm interested in or that I care about, kind of along the lines of the Joe Rogan podcast, except a lot less than that. I want to just have conversations about many different things, like vast conversations about loads of experiences people have had in their lives that people could relate to, or lessons they could learn. And I want it to be something fun and interesting, and something to keep me on my toes, and something for me to learn from, as well as hopefully you guys, the listeners. If you're interested in this podcast, please feel free to give me some feedback on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @EllieJaden, or you can email me some suggestions at shonaspeaks@hotmail.com. And I actually have quite a few ideas that I wanted to speak about, a few topics, and I don't know, I think this will be a nice mixed bag of things, and that's what I really want. I don't want to box myself in, because I've done that in the past with different types of media and content I've created, and I just want this to be a platform for everybody. All inclusive, baby. Every idea that you guys recommend, I will consider, and I hope you guys will follow me on this journey and this dream of mine to have my own little show. I'm currently recording right now from my bedroom, so yeah, DIY, nothing fancy here, and it just means a lot to me that anyone is listening to this right now. So thank you so much, my lovely listeners. I hope that you will tune in next time for the next episode of Shona Speaks.